7. Strategy and maneuver. Sun Tzu said, "The general receives orders from the ruler, gathers the troops, and establishes camps. The most difficult aspect of military strategy is military engagement. The difficulty of military engagement lies in turning detours into straight paths and turning disadvantages into advantages. Thus, by taking detours, one can lure the enemy into a favorable position where the later forces move, but the earlier forces arrive first. This is the strategy of using detours effectively. Military engagement is both advantageous and risky. If the army moves in pursuit of profit, it may not reach its objective in time. If it fails to do so, the supply wagons will be lost. Therefore, one must advance rapidly, without delay, both day and night, doubling the pace, moving 100 miles to seize the advantage, capturing the commanders of the enemy forces, with the strong advancing first and the exhausted following behind. The process involves 11 steps for 100 miles. If the advantage is pursued after 50 miles, the generals will be weakened, requiring half the time. If pursued after 30 miles, two-thirds of the time is required. Therefore, without supply wagons, the army perishes. Without food, the army perishes. Without accumulated provisions, the army perishes. Thus, one who does not understand the strategies of neighboring rulers cannot anticipate alliances. One who does not know the terrain, the mountains, forests, and marshes cannot conduct military operations, and one who does not use local guides cannot secure advantageous positions. Thus, military action is based on deception, moving according to advantage, and using division and combination as the basis of change. Its speed is like the wind, its slowness like the forest, its invasions like fire, its stillness like a mountain, its difficulty to detect like shadows, and its movement like thunder. To attack the enemy's village, divide the forces, expand the terrain, and seize the advantage is to command wisely. Those who understand the strategy of detours and direct routes will prevail. This is the principle of military engagement. The military organization says, when words cannot be heard, use drums and gongs. When sight cannot be shared, use banners and flags. The use of drums, gongs, banners, and flags is to focus the attention of the soldiers. When the soldiers are unified and focused, the brave cannot act alone, and the cowardly cannot retreat alone. This is the law of using massed forces. Therefore, in night battles, drums and gongs are used more, and in daylight battles, banners and flags are used more as they alter the perception of the troops. The energy of the army can be depleted, and the heart of the general can be lost. Morning energy is sharp, midday energy is sluggish, and evening energy returns. Therefore, a skilled commander avoids the sharpness of the enemy's morning energy and strikes when they are sluggish in the evening. This is the management of energy. To prepare for chaos with order, to wait for noise with silence, is the management of the heart. To wait for the distant with the near, to wait for rest with fatigue, and to wait for satiety with hunger is the management of strength. Never engage with a flag that is upright or an army in formation. This is the management of change. Thus, the method of using military force is: do not approach a high ridge, do not attack an army from behind a hill, do not follow the enemy when they pretend to retreat north, do not engage a sharp vanguard, do not tempt soldiers with rewards, do not block the retreating army, and when surrounding the enemy, leave an opening. Never pursue a defeated enemy relentlessly. This is the method of military strategy. Hannibal's crossing of the Alps, 208 BC. During the Second Punic War, Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, used a remarkable strategy to surprise the Roman army. One of the most significant aspects of his campaign was his crossing of the Alps, which was an unexpected move that caught the Romans off guard. This strategy aligns with Sun Tzu's concept of detour, as Hannibal took a path that was not only difficult but completely unpredictable. Background and execution. 1. Unconventional route. One of the key points in Hannibal's strategy was his choice to avoid the traditional routes that the Romans anticipated. Instead of advancing through the Mediterranean coast or taking a relatively safer path, Hannibal decided to march his army through the treacherous Alpine mountain range. This was a highly risky move, as crossing the Alps was considered nearly impossible for a large army at the time. However, by doing so, he disrupted Roman expectations and made a bold tactical decision, much like the detour strategy described by Sun Tzu. 2. Crossing the Alps. Hannibal's decision to march through the Alps was an audacious one, as it defied the normal military logic of the time. This route was harsh, filled with snowstorms and dangerous terrain. But by taking this route, Hannibal was able to bypass Roman defenses that were concentrated in areas the Romans expected him to travel through. His surprise movement forced the Romans to reevaluate their positions and respond to an unexpected threat from an entirely different direction. Number 3, outwitting the Romans. The Romans had anticipated that Hannibal would advance along the coast, where they had prepared their defenses. Instead, Hannibal's detour through the Alps allowed him to bypass their defenses entirely, leaving the Romans unprepared for his sudden appearance in northern Italy. The Roman army was caught off guard, unable to stop his forces from gaining the upper hand in the early engagements. Results and impact. 1. Successful surprise attack. Hannibal's crossing of the Alps was a shock to the Romans. After reaching northern Italy, he quickly reassembled his forces and prepared to launch attacks on Roman positions. Because the Romans had not anticipated his arrival, they were unable to deploy their forces in time, giving Hannibal an early advantage in several key battles. Number 2, losses and strategic gains. The journey over the Alps was extremely costly for Hannibal's army. They suffered significant casualties from the harsh conditions. However, despite these losses, Hannibal's strategic advantage outweighed the costs. The Romans, caught off guard by his unexpected route, had no time to react or counter his moves effectively. This allowed Hannibal to continue his campaign and pressure Roman defenses. Number 3, tactical superiority. After crossing the Alps, Hannibal was able to predict Roman movements and attack from advantageous positions. He used Sun Tzu's principles of detours and sudden strikes to great effect, as his unexpected route put him in favorable positions to exploit Roman weaknesses. His surprise maneuvers forced the Romans into a reactive state, and Hannibal capitalized on this to gain tactical superiority. Application of Sun Tzu's strategy. Sun Tzu's concept of you detour is clearly reflected in Hannibal's tactics. By avoiding the direct path and choosing a much more difficult, unexpected route, Hannibal successfully avoided Roman predictions and seized the initiative. His ability to adapt to difficult conditions and make decisions that confused and overwhelmed the Roman forces mirrors Sun Tzu's philosophy of using detours and unpredictability to gain an advantage. Conclusion: Hannibal's crossing of the Alps is an excellent example of strategic maneuverability and flexibility in warfare. This audacious move demonstrated the importance of not sticking to conventional paths and instead utilizing surprise to gain the upper hand, as outlined in Sun Tzu's teachings. It was a tactical masterstroke that allowed Hannibal to gain significant momentum in his war against Rome, showing the power of unpredictable maneuvers and the value of detour strategies in military conflict. Key insights and summary. Sun Tzu emphasizes the importance of flexibility and maneuverability in military strategy. Effective use of detours, deception, and swift movements can lead to victory, as they allow the army to exploit advantageous positions and surprise the enemy. Military action should be adaptable, with speed, unpredictability, and strategic use of resources, such as the manipulation of energy, morale, and timing, being key to success. Proper preparation, understanding terrain, and using communication tools like flags and drums help to manage forces efficiently. Additionally, strategic restraint, such as leaving openings when surrounding the enemy and avoiding relentless pursuit, ensures a more successful military campaign.